Later. Major news on the internet front right now. First off, the Pentagon has announced that the growing case of cyber sabotage coming from other countries can be considered an act of war, justifying real military reaction. Second, Iran says it can really turn off the internet in that country. Ari Zoldan of Quantum Networks joins the company. He knows about this stuff. Is that technically possible for the Iranians just to turn it off in their country?
Yes, and it's certainly it's a way to control the masses too, especially with all the Arab uprising right now.
So is it an easy? Just talking Iran now.
Just Iran, it's relatively easy. It's almost like a flick of a switch.
Well, what exactly do they do technically?
Well, it's a lot of it is done on the back end with a lot of the satellite connectivity on the ground. So he can, in theory, go to the back room, so to speak, and turn off the switch.
Turn off the connectivity.
Correct. Which means no data, means no voice, and that crackhead just continues to control, control and repress his people. The internet is go ahead.
I was going to say the one thing we saw though that we have seen over the last couple of years is there's always a way. I mean, there's always some tower here or some cloud there as a way to get information into the state.
Correct. Well, look, whenever you have a complicated structure, there's always going to be pockets of inefficiency. So it will never be, it can never be really totally off or totally on. But in terms of controlling the data and the information that people are getting, I mean, right now he's controlling everything, and the propaganda that's coming out there is just
he could do that in Iran.
Correct.
But you couldn't do that in the United States. I mean, a massive continent-sized country. You couldn't do it here, could you?
It's extreme. Technically, it can be done, but it takes a massive amount of coordination for that to occur.
All right. Second story. It looks like foreign governments may be behind hacking into our private enterprise corporations. For example, Lockheed, Sony, PBS. They've been hacked into by foreign governments. What can they do about that? Can you stop it, technically?
Can you stop it? It's extremely hard, and the technology is evolving so quickly, and viruses are getting out there, and worms are getting out there, that it's getting very, very sophisticated. We were following Stuxnet, which was
that's what got the Iranian nuclear project.
Correct, which was so-called the Israeli-American joint venture to try to replicate what happened in Natanz and try to infiltrate a lot of the centrifuges. The code is very, very sophisticated, extremely advanced, and they were actually able to do some very, very serious destruction.
I asked the question because it looks like this is happening more and more on a grand scale.
Yeah.
Sony lost, what was it, 30 million private details?
Yeah, but the thing about that, apparently they said it was this group anonymous, What scares me more than the idea of a government doing it is just that a bunch of real good hackers can take down Sony. Now that's frightening.
It's not a lot. Yeah, you need a couple of smart, bright young kids, and the code that I've seen some of the code, it is very, very sophisticated stuff.
So are you in your company, are you defenseless, would you say?
We're definitely vulnerable.
If somebody had a go at you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's very, very little we can do. You have some very, very intelligent people coming out of, China, they're coming out of Indonesia, and they're focused on just bringing down these small networks. So it's pretty amazing. And the battlefield, too, has totally changed. So it's a digital landscape right now. We're talking about unmanned drones. I mean, just the technology coming out there right now is just absolutely extraordinary. And you're right, it's governments fighting other governments right now, but it's done digitally. So it's amazing, and it's going to continue, I think, to progress.
Ari Zoldan, always a pleasure to have you with us.